Alrighty guys, welcome back to Better Than Starting Manned, and we are launching right away. A few tweaks to this ship have been made since you last saw it. A few batteries, which I'm trying to keep to a minimum. A few more than we had in the earlier design, so that hopefully we can get one full gravioli scan back. The second change was the addition of winglets, which have already saved us a great deal of trouble, as evidenced by the tilt you just saw. And other than that, no unusual surprises, nothing of significance. Just a hope and a prayer that we can get above 7,200 meters. Because if we don't, that actually might kill our space program completely with 2 failed parts tests. Alright, here we go. We gotta throttle this down through the lower atmosphere. We don't want to waste any more fuel than necessary pushing through the soup that is the lower atmosphere. Use it all in the upper and high. Ooh, no, don't want to lose speed. Losing speed is bad. Okay, looking good so far. I'm just trying to keep it slowing down the minimal amount of fuel possible here. Liquid fuel, gotta love it. Oop, there we are, stable 240 meters per second. Coming up into the middle atmosphere, which is the last part of the atmosphere where we're actually going to have control over this thing. So we need to make a very careful decision as we come up to the top of this, how fast we want to accelerate towards orbit. I'm thinking, let's keep our speed, our throttle low, and with any luck, we will be able to keep it stable enough to get to a nice height. Because so far we are just around vertical and looking good. Let's just hope once we're in a high orbit, as long as the ship is balanced, we should not tip over, because there won't be wind buffeting the craft and causing it to go a little sneaky on us. Okay. Let's just hope that this engine is efficient enough in the high atmosphere. Alright, we are now out of control for all intents and purposes. 48, 49, 50. No throttle. We have to just keep going up slowly, because as long as we have control, we have no control. 60, but if we go slowly, we're getting more and more efficient use of our fuel with every meter we go up. At least I think we are. Come on, there goes 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. Yes, okay, our parts tests are going to be okay. Just barely. And hopefully we can log... Okay, we're going to be over the shores. I think we may wind up with the shores. I'm hoping to log something other than the shores, though. Oh boy, that was a tight... That's really close to not being there. I was quite worried about this design, which is why I really tweaked the batteries down from one of my earlier versions. Let's see, still over the shores. Okay, and in another moment, the girder will be tested in 2, 1, test. And in 3, come on, keep going, don't slow down, test. Done and done. Let's see, and we'll log whatever we can get for gravioli. I don't think we're going to get over anything other than the shores here, are we? Because it would be really nice to get a partial transmission on the ocean rather than a partial transmission on the or the shores, because We're still going up. No, we're going down now. We're going down now. We're still over the shores. Let's log that gravity data and get ready to log something different if we get an opportunity, which I'm going to guess we're not, because we're going to run out of time to transmit this stuff. Darn. Okay, shores it is. Let's just hope we can get the rest of the science, and we'll just content ourselves with hopefully getting the rest of that. And we may just have to do a pure science flight without the extra mass that hopefully will let us get the rest of this science. But we have a very, very limited window to finish transmitting this data. I just hope we have enough battery power left to transmit the data. 50%. Oh, we're not going to make it, are we? Oh. It's going to be tight. I should have started it right away. All right, 80%. 4, 86, 88, 90, 2, 4, 6. Oh, man. Well, we're going to have to do a pure science flight. I just hope we've got enough to make up for the fact that we didn't succeed at this particular launch. We're about to lose this ship, I'm sure, as it's going to hit the atmosphere quite hard in a moment. But I might as well stay with it and see if it actually survives. Stranger things have happened, although it's going to hit the ocean, so the odds of it actually surviving any form intact is pretty low. Here comes the heating. Are we actually going to survive? Not looking good. Oh, well, it's going to survive that part. Survival of the impact, on the other hand, I have no control. I think this thing's just going to explode into a million pieces because it's going to hit the water, and things that hit the water usually don't have any extra lifespan. Oh, no, it's going to hit the land. It's just barely going to hit the land. Really curious. Are we still over the shores, technically? We are. That's kind of hilarious. Well, if I yank off this and this, we should be able to get a pretty high flight and maybe add a few more batteries. It's either that or testing it with a new kind of booster set. Maybe 3 of these liquid tank, or 2 of those liquid tanks, similar to the weather satellite ship. I don't know. That ship didn't have enough guts to get as high as I would have liked, though. Okay, here we go. Whoa. Some of it survived. A little bit of retrieved parts. Not a lot, but a little bit. A few dollars is a few dollars. Okay, I'll retrieve those parts. And all right, we'll go to the Space Center. Or the tracking station. Okay, I'll get these parts and then we'll look at see how we did financially on that. Alrighty, so money, we have hit 39,000 from those 2 tests. We got 10,000 and 1,250. Not really worth it for that second one, but that kind of covered my costs somewhat. Not great, but not bad. Okay. Well, that sucked a little. Let's see what we got for contracts. We have active orbit Kerbal and set a manned altitude record, and test a LVT-15 liquid fuel engine on a suborbital trajectory over Kerbal. Is this the ship that the engine I already have, or is this an experimental part? But of course I need a version of this that will actually get into a suborbital flight to do it. Yeah, it is the engine we have, but I need a version of this capable of getting into that suborbital flight. So obviously those we don't need anymore. They've served their purpose. They're just taking up space and mass. So that, hold on. How much did that account for? 16,705 down to 1633. Not a huge amount. So this thing has a more fundamental issue in terms of its design, which is unfortunate. Okay, well, I have to go. So we're gonna cut the, there's going to be a cut in this episode, and I will be right back in a little while. Hello there, everyone. Well, right. I'm back. It's been about 3 days since I've recorded. We're going to continue right from where we left off with our Gravioli Mark 1, was it? Yes. Yes, it was the Gravioli Mark 1. We need to get enough science to get the next tech in the tree, because right now we're in a bad place science-wise. At the moment, we are a little short on science and a little short on, well, not short on money, but we're short on contracts. The only contracts we have right now are orbit and recover a Kerbal from 12,500, which of course I missed earlier. Anyways, here we go. So what my hope is to get a Gravioli scan above the ocean on this flight. I'm hoping that's what we'll get. I've got to get enough tilt to this thing, of course, to get there. So we'll just tip it slightly this way. I got to hold her steady because it's a no SAS. Number 2. Full throttle to the engine, to the liquid fuel. Hold her vertical. Yeah, so yeah, right now we are currently in a very rough place for science. Because we're limited in the places we can get it, and we are limited in the places, basically, there's very limited options in what we have to get on the next batch of science, which specifically is going to be the manned capsule and the goo capsules. Because the manned capsule will let us fly a Kerbal up to the next level of the atmosphere, and the goo will let us get, at the very least, low and high atmosphere science, if not the suborbital science as well from goo, because we can get a suborbital flight back from space without burning up, from what I've observed. Barely, but we can theoretically do it. So we're just holding things steady here, because we got to get ourselves up to above 60. Okay, and we're currently over the shores. So let's give it a few degrees over so that we wind up going over the ocean instead of staying over the shores the entire time. No, come on, a few degrees. Uh-oh, did I wait too late? I might have waited too late. Well, if I did, there's not much I can do about that. We just hope that we wind up over something other than the shores here soon. Because at this point, we are not going over any further than we already are. No way to control our ship's motion in orbit. Come on, we got to get above 50. Got to get above 70. If we don't get above 70, we're going to be in real trouble here. Because this is an expensive flight to run. Oh, we're going to make it good. Okay. We're actually going to make it quite high, which is good, even if we are completely off kilter here right now. And certainly not going out as far as I would have liked over other biomes. Still over the shores. See, the shores aren't economically sensible. Okay, we're going to make it over the ocean. No problem. That's good. That's very good. Context. Flying high over the shores. Let's just go a little faster. Low space over the shores. Come on, give us, there we are. All right, get us our Gravioli scan and send it home. And hopefully, I threw on a lot more batteries on this one. I did some calculations off camera and realized that I was still short on juice to actually get a gravially scan and transmit it home. So I figured I'd better get this one with a few more batteries, and this will get a single serving science scans, which is not very efficient. I really need something that will actually orbit the planet, that I can put in orbit even if it just becomes a junker in space. Which really, to get something into orbit, I think I'm going to have to get the next weight limit. I just don't see how I can get, because I can barely fit one of these. 3 of these liquid fuel tanks maxes out. Yes, 25 science. I think that's all we're going to be able to get out of this, because we're not going to go over another biome. So we'll just time warp this thing back onto the planet. Going down. So we wound up with a little more science than we actually, or a little bit more juice than we needed, but I'd rather have more than I need than less than I need. So we're going down, we're tumbling, we're heating. Oh, ooh, that was close. We almost burned up there, but not burning up. Of course, we're going to hit the water, and I don't think anything survives hitting the water right now. I think the water is destructive acid of doom, and anything that hits it just gets destroyed. But we'll find out. Yeah, that was a total loss. Too bad, but you know what? That's okay, because we can go to the Space Center, and we can get another piece of science. Now, Mr. Pfister, my partner in, an instructor in Flyer's Ed, which you may or may not have noticed on my channel. It's a fun little series that we've been doing. Learning through disaster, suggested that I can fly this Mark 0 pressurized cockpit on weather missions, which means that I can attach this, in theory, to the top of my weather flight. Also, new batteries. Actually, I want to do the math on those, but let's see, what are the other ones? Control. Decouplers, which are going to be really nice. That's probably what I'll get next, because that also gets the 75-ton launch capacity. And basic orbital engine. No, we're going to get new science sources, because let's get out of here and let's look at our ship design. Anyways, yeah, go have a look at Flight School. We're always looking for suggestions on what we can do. So this will be the manned weather survey Mark 1. And so we put this in. All right, we take this off, we get rid of that. Grab this, put that on there. Rotate that. There we go. All right, we now have a manned ship. Now then, the next thing we need to do is consider our electrical situation and see what's more efficient. We have 50 units for 0.05 or 400 for 0.3. Where's my calculator? Just 1 second. All right, I am back with numbers. 1 ton of POT2XLs will yield 1,333 electricity, whereas 1 ton of these only yields 1,000 electricity. So that tells me that these batteries weight for ton, produce a more efficient electrical supply than the other one. All I have to do is make sure I'm not adding more of this than I had before. The only upside to this battery here is that it balances with the barometer, but it makes more sense for me to balance the barometer with thermometers anyways. So, no mirroring, so we'll put that there, and that there, and then we'll put 2 batteries here, because they match up. Let me see, 0.3 versus the weight of a barometer. 0.05, not even close. This is way heavier. So we won't even try to balance them against each other. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just put 4 of these on. They're much, much larger too, so we're going to put 4 of those on, and that should give us way more electricity than we had on the previous design. But the easiest way to find out is just to go look at how many of the other ones we had on the previous ship design. Weather Survey Mark 1 had 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of those. 9 times 50 is... Actually, that might make the ship a lot heavier. 9, 10 50s is 500, so it's... Man, the equivalent is only 1 of those batteries? Wow, okay. Well, Weather Survey Mark 1, my instinct is... No, we need the manned weather survey. Maybe we need to go just a tiny bit lighter. I don't want to run into trouble here. So let's go with just 2 on this side, because that's twice as much juice by my calculations as the previous ship had. Because, yeah, 10 of those batteries produces 500. Hold on, yeah. 10 of those batteries produces 500, and these ones each produce 400. So between that and the extra mass of the cockpit here, so this one weighs 20.63, and the basic weather survey weighed 19.33. So it's a little heavier, but I do recall having power to spare on this thing in 19.33. We should be okay. So let's get out of here and let's get a weather contract if it's available, because we could use a few extra dollars from this. There is not a weather survey available at the moment. That makes me sad. Well, we do need to do a manned altitude record regardless, so hopefully when we get back we might have a something new. So let's grab the manned weather survey. Even though we're not doing a manned weather survey, we might be able to do it on the next flight, because the next record is it's the one I missed, which will be the upper atmospheric flight that I missed. That I would get now if I hadn't missed the first contract for the first flight. All right, here we go. Launching in 3, 2, 1. Nice. Go Chatterer. Love it. Actually, interestingly enough, well, okay, this thing does need to go up high enough to get the next science sample, so I do need to go up into the upper atmosphere. So above 30, I believe, is the target height. So we'll see what we can do here. And while I was doing some testing I've got a sandbox save that I do some testing in. I was flying a small manned mission, landed in the ocean, and exploded. So I think I'm going to go for landing on land, not in the ocean, because I'm not precisely sure if this thing has enough juice to land cleanly on land. Whoa, 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 whoa! Slow down, big guy. Stop tipping. Well, I guess you can tip a little bit that way, because that's the direction I actually want you to go. I'm going to sort of tip towards the land. Just a little. Oop, that was almost too much off the top. Come on, this 3-engine beast got to be able to do it. You know, actually, if I think about it, the other way to make sure I get enough juice in this thing... Uh-oh. Tipping, not good tipping. Would have been to take off the scientific equipment that I don't need for this flight. Well, come on. Why are you... You are so tippy, my god. Why are you so tippy? We're losing it. We're losing it. Come on, you silly thing. Why are you tipping over? Dang it. Alright, well, we're either going to make it or... Oh, maybe we can... Are we? No, we can't salvage this. We're losing it. Well, I guess I just hope that this thing goes high enough to get... We need to go up another... Oh, man. Why did this thing tip over? This design has worked perfectly every other time. Well, how aggravating. Well, we'll try and recover this as intact as possible then. That's weird. I just lost control of it. I wonder if this thing's not balanced. Alright, well, let's start slowing it down. And hopefully... It's a little scary coming down through the clouds because you can't see the surface. And that is actually deceptively close to the ground. Okay, so we'll just haul some of the scientific equipment off, cut a couple of batteries off to try and save some mass. And we'll relaunch this thing. But we'll use the engines here to decelerate for a nice clean landing. Okay, we've got our parachute full deployment coming in just a few moments here. And that should flip this thing over and hopefully not rip the whole thing apart. Yep. Oh, whew. There we go. We'll just let this thing slow down a bit, and then we'll give it some extra gas just before the end. We don't want to use all of the gas up if we can avoid it, because we can recover some of that for money. Okay, we need to take it down below. There we are. Perfect. A beautiful landing.